Well, I haven't slept all that well the past 2 nights. I don't know if you can see it in my eyes, but the bad news is that I've started chain smoking again and drinking quite a bit more than usual too. You know, I may or may not have gone to bed drunk a few times. The good thing is that now I realize why I smoke. Sometimes it's to punish myself. Sometimes it's to match that psychic emotional burning with an actual burning, i.e. the burning of the chest. But it's been a rough week. One day I just woke up and unconsciously decided that, you know, I'm not enough, that I needed to be somebody else, that I needed to have somebody else's talent, or that I needed this type of love. You know, I just became devastated in all the ways that I was falling short. And I feel that deficit with substances sometimes. You know, for every sip of a cocktail, I'll take another puff of a cigarette and then just kind of alternate that until I have to refill my drink or light another cigarette. And that's how I cope. Sometimes. It's just one of several ways of coping. But the idea is that I'm trying to make a meal out of it before it makes a meal out of me. You know, that eat or be eaten type mentality. Me versus myself. Which brings me to, you know, another stark realization that I had, which is how I kind of will split my consciousness into different sides. You know, there's my self-destructive side, which, you know, likes to make theater out of her destructive antics. And she mostly just needs attention. She has this beautiful internal fire that is often misguidedly used to implode on herself and to make a scene out of people watching her burn. Very theatrical, this one. And then there's like the higher me, who's kind of like standing by and just watching everything play out. Because these things do need to play themselves out. You know, there's no point in like frantically judging myself or trying to stop it or suppress it or reject it, because then these attributes will manifest in ways that, you know, can cause long-term damage. She'll intervene if things get out of hand, but for now she's just like, I'm gonna let the kids have their tantrum. You know, at some point they'll figure out how to self-soothe and stop acting like a fucking animal. But yeah, for now it's just like, she's gonna let them have their moment. So she's the one who, you know, wakes up and stretches after I've been, you know, drinking all night, or she's like the caretaker who like makes me a cup of like hydrating tea when I come into my room drunk and I'm about to go to bed and I'm like, I got the spins. And she reminds my self-destructive side that this emptiness and anguish that she feels of desperately needing to be someone else just comes from not recognizing and acknowledging our own unique gifts. So the key and the remedy of it is just to remind her who we are, and to lean into those traits, to kind of like reconcile that disassociation between being who you are and desperately needing to be something else. You know, she just wants to feel special. But she is seeking somebody else's idea of special. And again, I'll remind her that the gift that we have is an extremely powerful gift for an artist to have. And that's special enough, you know? So I guess this is part of what people refer to as like shadow work, which is like recognizing the darker, more sinister sides of yourself and engaging it, indulging it, but with boundaries. And those boundaries are like really, really important. I need to always just be in touch with that higher self that looks down and supervises, because my shadow side, this is a obsessive personality we're talking about. She needs to consume things, and she needs things to wholly consume her. And not always in a good way, often not in a good way. But I think the challenge is tapping into that need to consume and diverting it into a productive outlet and not an outlet that is seeking to destroy me. So the point is to entertain what she is feeling and what she has to say and just let her do her damage right up until the point that it's about to kill me. And you know, what doesn't kill us is just really intense. And I like intensity. I do, I really do. It's a part of my shadow side that I've never had a problem embracing. So while I'm worried about the drinking, the smoking, the blah, 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 I'm also not worried. You know, I've quit smoking cigarettes before. You know, I can do it again. It's nothing. But I'm glad I'm naming this thing. And naming it, you know, doesn't necessarily make it make it acceptable. It doesn't make it more comfortable. It doesn't make it any more bearable. It's still uncomfortable. The depression is still there. The emotional desolation is still there. I still have to grapple with it. Even when I break this down and tear down my backdrop and turn off the camera, I still have to figure out what I'm gonna do with my evening when that darkness descends that doesn't involve some type of self-sabotage. Or it might. But if I know who's at the helm of the ship, even if it's not me, like my higher self me, I know that I can jump in and take over the steering at any time and just get it back in the right direction. So, you know, for now, that's giving me a little bit of absolution. Maybe, probably.